Thanks everyone, welcome. After Lani's speech, I'm virtually speechless. I think she said it all for us. Tonight I just want to talk about, spend 5 to 7 minutes talking about Cabarita's natural heritage and the bushland that is directly affected by this development. Now the land is actually Banksia forest and woodland. Next photo. Here's another photo of it. Now, why is this guy talking about United Kingdom? There are 2,000 native plants that are home to the called United Kingdom home. I've estimated, by doing floral surveys, that there are at least 500 plant species in the Bulga region, around about a 2-kilometre circle from where we are talking right now. That's incredible. That's why I want to make that a very important point, because we live in a special part of the world here, and Dune Care works to protect it. Now the trees that are going to be knocked down, this is one of the trees that will go if the caravan park goes ahead. It's at least 70 feet. It's one of the oldest Banksias on the east coast that I know of. And it's a very important habitat tree. There are dozens of these on the site. This is a pandanus. You all know those trees very well. Can we just go back to the Banksia? Just want to. This is what scientists call a keystone species, so it's very important to the local environment. It sets the tone for the environment. So it says there, it has a stabilising influence on the ecological community. It supplies food, shelter and habitat for all the animals. Thanks, next slide. These are Wallam Banksias, they're also common on the site. Orchids. Heath Banksia, now I just want to talk a little bit about this one. These are a beautiful plant restricted to the east coast of Australia. They have very limited range in New South Wales, and Bulga is one of those places. And this is the most northerly point in Australia that they grow. They stop at Bulga, as far as we can determine. There are none north of Bulga. And this is probably the most northerly plant in Australia. It will go under the bulldozer. Next slide, thanks. That's its flower. These are important for the wildlife, for birds, possums. This is a goanna, which I photographed just a couple of weeks ago on the goanna track at Greenham, I think. Now these guys, you'll notice these are major occupants of the Banksia forest around here. These guys also live there. If you take a walk through there, they love that dense scrub. We might not like it, but they love it. They need it to move through the bush safely and nest and to find food. This is another guy, a threatened species, who uses the Banksia forest for food. He sleeps in the forests of Round Mountain, and at night while you're sleeping, he flies over your house and feeds on the Banksia blossom. Now it's a little secret, not many people know that. They're all threatened species, these guys. That means they're at risk of extinction in the wild. Now the ospreys also use the Banksia forest. Now you think, oh, hang on, he's a fish, he catches fish. What's he doing using the Banksia forest? When he catches his fish, he flies to those big Banksia trees so he can have a feed in peace. Often if they feed in the open, another osprey or another bird of prey will try and pinch it from them. So they go into the forest, I've seen them do it, and they'll eat their meal there. And if you run into a half-eaten fish in the bush and you think, crikey, the fish are going crazy, they're throwing their fish around the bush. It's not that, it's the bird leaving their meal, what's left behind in the bush. Now this guy's a very special character, another inhabitant of the Banksia forest. He requires casuarina cones from certain trees that grow there. And I have seen them feeding in this area. They use it. Now, if we bulldoze it, they won't be using it, and they'll be pushed closer to the edge of extinction. Now, this is an important thing. This is endangered ecological communities. It's an assemblage of species occupying the same geographical area that are likely to become extinct or are in immediate danger of extinction. Now, we have one in the Banksia forest. We have what's known as a calitris forest. This is regenerated naturally after sand mining, and it's expanding. Next slide, please. There's just a shot inside in the interior of the forest. It's quite dark. It's a very different place from the Banksia forest. Less species grow there because of the canopy cover. Now, the beauty of this place is in the detail. When you get down to the floor, there are fungus. Up in the trees, there are epiphytes, mosses, ferns, and on it goes. And there's also another inhabitant of this calitris forest is this endangered orchid. And it's flowered for the first time that we're aware of this year. So this is the first large flower that we've recorded. And they're increasing in number in the Banksia forest there. The blades of the bulldozer will go directly over the top of this. Now, there are things going on in that forest. One of them is called natural regeneration. So after the sand mining, some planting was done by the mining companies, but it was very rudimentary. What nature has done is supplied natural regeneration. That's what's going on in there. Okay, thanks. Assisted regeneration.
That's working.
Yeah, just stay close to it. It's working.
Hello? Yep, got it?
Yep.
Is that working? Assisted regeneration is when we go in and we plant and we remove weeds. This is what Dune Care does with the help of the Bolgongar Primary School. Thank you, next slide. These are some of the roles that we do in Cabarita Bolgongar Dune Care. We plant trees, we do bush regeneration, weed control, rubbish removal, flora surveys, and educational tours. So we're very active in the community and very proud of the natural heritage of this area. Next slide. We do it in partnership with the local schools, local business, Tweed Shire Council, and other regional Dune Care groups like Finglehead and Hastings Point. On National Tree Day, we have an annual planting. We have planted over 2,000 native trees in the dunes and in that Banksia forest that they want to bulldoze. Hundreds of kids involved, and we've met them tonight, and that's banjo. I just want you to take all these things into consideration when you're making up your mind about this caravan park.